Good morning. Good morning. Let's see if this stream is going to pick up. Yep, sounds working. And we are here, 5:13 a.m. Oh, I need to wake up. I need to do the exercises before we can have the coffee. Hey, good morning, friends. 5:13 a.m. and this is a Tuesday morning, and we are going to get started. For those of you who are watching, my name is Toby. I am 41 years old and I train to live an active, self-sufficient and adventurous life. We do so by minding my sleep. I try to get between 7 and 9 hours in a night. Do so by minding what I eat. I try to eat within my energy balance. I try to eat lots of greens, lots of vegetables, to get all those nutrients in, to get all the healthy and good foods in. Try to make sure that I hit my protein goals so that I support my muscle and strength building goals on the days that I don't train with weights. I try to eat between 60 and 80 grams of protein. On the day that I am training with weights, I try to eat between between 80 and 100 grams of protein. And for now, we seem to be doing quite all right, actually, with those numbers. The goal is weight maintenance, not to become the most muscular or the biggest I've ever been, but also not to become smaller than I am right now, but just to exchange some of my soft tissue, my fat tissue, for muscle tissue over time, and we have enough time to do that. We're not on a schedule. So we have sleep, food. I show up 7 days a week for some sort of exercise. Usually Monday, Wednesday, Friday is kettlebell training. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday is mobility. Sunday is run. And I try to do some walking in between, specifically on Tuesday and Saturday, to build that cardiovascular base. So I'm going to go out for a walk when we're done with this mobility session as well. I live stream everything because we have conversations about health and fitness while I'm working out. Might as well use the time effectively. So if you have any questions or you're working on your own training or whatnot, you go ahead and you ask me a question in the stream, in the chat. And if you want to share your experience or anything, you go ahead and do that as well. And don't forget to go to my channel, hit like to this video, subscribe, and help me grow this little community of people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s who are trying to get fit and healthy for living and for life. That being said, the only way to get anything done, friends, is by showing up and doing the work. So we're going to get started. I'm going to hit the timer, and we're going to start working on that mobility. Ba-Ken said hi. Thanks for saying hi. I hope you're doing well, and I appreciate you dropping by and letting me know that you're here. And if you want better audio over on my channel, there's a different stream with better sound quality. And I appreciate you dropping by and being here. Okay, we have started that first timer. And we're just going to walk this one out. And just That's just very simply let the body move. And it is hot today. It is a hot day. We are expecting 35, 36 degrees Celsius here. That is significant. And we are all ready for some extreme heat. You know, on days like that, it's extra important to stay hydrated. And I think it's just another reminder of how important it is to drink our water and to make sure that we are mindful of what we eat and what we drink throughout the day, because if it matters on extreme weather days, it's very hot, it matters when we're not in extreme weather, but when it's just relatively cool. And we just need to keep being mindful of this. But we've talked about this at length, I think, before. So why does this matter? Why is being fit in our 40s a thing? Well, if we're fit at 40, we can work towards being fit at 50, and the habits and routines that we create to stay fit in our 40s and 50s are then also habits that we will carry with us into our 60s and 70s and hopefully 80s. In other words, we're building lifestyles and routines that are in some ways, hopefully, going to benefit us both now and in the future. They're just going to become a part of living and a part of life that we can And I think we underestimate sometimes how much of what we do today is actually habitual, and routine. I think a lot of the things that we do that we think are normal, we've picked up over the course of our lives. Whether that is how we prepare for sleep, or how we eat our foods, or how we approach movement and exercise, or how active we are throughout the day. It's all the result of unconscious effort and patterns, just the way life has been from a young age. We've been told to be in school, to find a job, to work hard, that we can get a reward when we're done with the day. We can have sweets when we finish our plate. We see people commuting to and from work. We sit down in the evening to browse and scroll together. There is just a lot of time that we are spending together. And we are spending doing things the way other people showed and taught us how to do them, without really trying to figure out for ourselves, well, why do we sleep? Why do we eat? Why do we move? Why do we have friendships, relationships? Why are we a part of communities and clubs? Why is contribution, as in actively participating in the organizing or conversing about the general direction, why is that a thing? And I think the first step here is really to acknowledge to ourselves and to our to the way we see the world, to acknowledge to ourselves that we have been taught to think and act and have built habits and routines up over the course of our lifetime without really questioning why that is the case. Why do we drink wine and beer with dinner? Why don't we drink a glass of water with food. Why do we have the biggest meal of the day at the end of the day, not at the beginning? Why do we have meat 2 or 3 times a day with our meals? And what is the reason that it is okay to sit down in the evening and have a big gulp size drink? And a huge bowl of snacks to boot while we watch a movie or binge watch our favorite TV show. Why are all of these things normal? Why do we think these things are normal? Now, there's just something that requires some thought and attention, because we're now going to question the habits we have. But it are the habits that we have developed in life that are going to get us to a certain level of health and fitness for living. And the only thing I would like for you to do is for you to make that habit one that you have chosen for, that routine one that you have chosen for, that system that you use to organize the food and the time spent per week. But that is something that you have chosen for. You know, so these are things that we struggle with every day. And we struggle with them because we're not that aware. In fact, that we have tremendous agency and power to make choices and to make changes. But that all of those changes well, they have to come through effort. And the effort has to come from us picking ourselves up and saying, hey, there's something that I want to take charge of. And that is my health, my fitness, my approach to living, the way I sleep, the way I eat, the way I move, basically the way I'm investing my time. Those 16 hours that I have in relation to in relation to my general health, fitness, and well-being. So I just keep that in mind, and you keep focusing on asking yourself little questions. The first question is, why do I go to sleep at the time that I go to sleep? Why do I wake up at the time that I wake up? And the second question is, why do I spend my evenings the way I spend my evenings? Could be socializing, could be cleaning the house, could be on the couch, could be scrolling, right? And those questions might lead to an insight about sleep, and specifically our sleeping pattern, and how we might want to change the way in which we sleep, the way in which we approach sleep and approach life in general. Because there's a lot that we can learn simply from our own experience, if we're willing to take a critical look at all that life has been trying to teach us. Anyway, lessons upon lessons. Oh. I was reminded by a friend that there was one exercise that he'd suggested that was a very good exercise for hip mobility that I'd stop doing. So we're going to reincorporate it again. Look at that. And all we're doing is just chilling, relaxing, moving slowly, working on our general mobility. Making sure that our body remembers its full range of motion, how to get to where we want it to be. We're just going to slowly work on little changes in our life, just like mobility changes every day with every training that we do. We will also work on making little changes to the way we sleep, the way we eat, the way we move throughout the week. All kinds of things that we would just need to be mindful of. Because when it comes down to it, the foundations of health and fitness are just those, the foundations. They're relatively simple and straightforward. It is the ability we have to be consistent in the things that are beneficial to our health. Chosen over the things that we know are detrimental to our health or that detract from our health. And well-being. Those are the ones that we are actually that we should be mindful of. That it is, we don't need a fad program or expensive supplements or a top-rated gym subscription or a personal trainer. You know, all of those things maybe can help one way or another, whether it's for motivation or absolutely for any kind of effect. But in general, you don't need anything to explain to you that getting between 7 and 8 hours of sleep is probably beneficial. And you don't need someone to explain that consuming an excess of energy is going to lead to the storage of that energy because you don't use it. And that carrying excess weight around is going to detract from your short and long-term health, fitness, and longevity, whether you're aware of it or not. But I think there is enough understanding out there to support that intuition. And there is no need to explain to you and to lock you into expensive training programs to understand that certain levels of movement are beneficial to our health and well-being and fitness. We all know this intuitively. So when we say we're going to get fit and healthy, the first thing we usually do is we start to go for a jog or a move, right? So we don't need to just get a little bit of those abs in here. Since we're already up on the ball. Okay. It's a different challenge on the left or on the right. I just realized we forgot to do cat and the cow. Lotus, I think, is the cat. Or maybe this is the cow. And this is the cat. And the last one we're going to do. Just because it's always so much fun. Whew. That was it for mobility and movement for this morning, friend. It is time for a cup of coffee, and I'm going to go out before it gets too hot. A short walk, 30 minutes in zone 2. So, a brisk walk, but nonetheless nothing too intense, too hardcore. One, because it's a hot day. Second, because it's a recovery day. There we are. I hope you found the conversation somewhat useful, helpful maybe, to edge you on your way, to figure out your own path to health, fitness, longevity. For those of you who are watching, thanks for dropping by, for saying hi. Go ahead, hit like, subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments, in chat. Check out my channel. It's a small, growing community of people who are interested in health and fitness. People who want to figure out how to stay healthy, stay fit, stay capable, stay free from medication, and, free from discomforts and disease, improve their ability, their mobility, all positive things for life and for living right now, but also in the future. I always say this about the way I feel, not about the way I look. I would like to feel fit, capable, competent for living an adventurous, self-sufficient, and active life. If that's something you're interested in, then definitely we have something to talk about. We're good just the way we are. We've got to love ourselves before we can move on. It's the person we are today. It's going to get us to where we want to be tomorrow. A bit of kindness is going to go a long way, all right? There are enough people out there who want to put us down. Believe me, there are. So we lift ourselves up, all right? And the only way to get anything done, friends, is by showing up and doing the work. So hit like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for dropping by, friends. Don't forget to say hi, subscribe, and I'll see you in another video. Take care. For you also, friends, remember, subscribe. I'll speak soon.